Welcome to the Hendo-One Gallery of Fine Art, an online virtual gallery originating from Flat Rock, North Carolina. Our current exhibit is Urban Musings by Dennis Stefani. A few notes before we step inside. Please wait here for a few minutes. The docent and the featured artist are making their final preparations for the show, and the doors will open in a few minutes. Secondly, in consideration of all guests, please mute your microphone until you have a question or comment for the artist. Then unmute your microphone, make your comments, get your questions answered, then remute your microphone so that we can avoid background noise, which could be a disturbance to other people who are with you in the group today. Welcome to the Hendo-One Gallery of Fine Art, and I want to thank you for visiting today. The Hendo-One Gallery exists to showcase emerging and established artists and to support dissemination of their work worldwide. Unlike brick-and-mortar galleries, Hendo-One charges 0% commission, with 100% of sales going directly to the artist. This allows the artist to bring their work directly to you without going through a commission broker. As you take part in today's tour, please ask questions of the artist and deal directly with him on purchases using the contact information that will follow. If you would like to stay abreast of what's happening at the Hendo-One Gallery and who are the upcoming artists, please get out your cell phone now and take a photograph of this QR code. It will lead you to my website, and from there you can subscribe for future events. The subscription is free, and I will occasionally send you an email to let you know when a new artist is going to be exhibiting at Hendo-One. Our featured artist for today is Dennis Stefani. Dennis grew up in the south side of Chicago, and in his youth he was involved in a variety of artistic endeavors and spent much of his time as a freelance drummer with many influential musicians of that era. It was not until the early 2000s that Dennis began to seriously focus on photography. As like many photographers, he started out with a point-and-shoot camera and quickly moved to an early DSLR digital camera in his photographic journey, and it was there that it began to flourish. Dennis resides in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and serves as president of the largest active camera club in western North Carolina. Here we are at the artist's statement. At this point in time, the docent would normally introduce you to Dennis. However, he forgot to click the record button until Dennis was on his second image. So for that reason, we will introduce Dennis on the second image. But here is his artist's statement for Urban Musings. This is Dennis's first online gallery experience, and it's being used as an entrance into the world of selling art. In this exhibit, you will find a variety of subjects representative of his views of the world around him. Although Dennis lives in an area of rural mountain beauty, his interests are of more urban, architectural, and people-focused subjects. Many of his images are post-processed based on his interpretive intuition and reflect what he feels digital art is all about. The first image of the evening Dennis calls Salon. It is the front window of a store in Chicago at night. One of the things you're going to appreciate about Dennis's upcoming images is he takes a lot of photographs right as the sun goes down and we are getting into the blue hour, which Dennis will talk about. Here we find ourselves in the waiting area for Hendo-One, and we are presented with a very beautiful image of a building. And I would like to let Dennis tell you about that building right now. It's a very interesting photograph, and it was interesting how it was taken.
Probably mid-afternoon. We had done that since mid-afternoon, and this was getting close now to dark at this point in time. So as you can see, It is very, very blue, and those lights on this building were just amazingly bright. This was, I think, the AC motel or hotel chain, I should say, in Asheville. And I was in particular taking a lot of photographs in this exact area where this building was. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Dave.
thank you, Dennis. Yeah, I love this photograph, and what impresses me about being a photographer myself is that you probably only had about 2, 3 minutes to do this one because obviously the sun is just very close to setting, and because it's catching the top of the building, and you probably were real rushed to set that one up.
Yeah, and actually, I did take this, and I was really, really close to the building, and I was not using a tripod, so I was kind of bent over, almost looking straight up to take this shot.
Very good, very good. Well, now let's move into the first gallery here of Dennis's work. And here we have three images which are very representative of Dennis's work in urban settings. And we're going to take a closer look at each one of them. This first one, for anybody who's been to Asheville, you'll recognize this one, and it's called Rooftops. And Dennis, was that taken up by the I, gosh, I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's that little mall area.
Actually, yes, it was very close to there. This was actually on top of a high-rise motel. It was across the street from that photo that we just looked at. And we were up there. It was wonderfully lit up top there. This wasn't quite the blue hour yet, but it was getting close. And I was just amazed and in awe of all of the rooftops and all of the things that were on top of the rooftops. And in this particular photograph, just to make it a little bit more interesting, I decided to paint in and to give it a ethereal effect. I decided to paint in some camera light leaks. So this red, can you see my cursor when I do this?
No.
No. Okay. So this to the left side of the photo, you can see a red line that starts from the left and continues right. And of course, it fades out when it gets on top of the bright rooftops. And then you can see the same thing that picks up about where that line legs up to the right side and continues off again in the dark areas. So this is just one of my favorite things to do to get up on top of rooftops and take building top photographs. It's again, it's urban and it's also architectural, and I love that stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dennis. Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. And you can tell it's not a city up in the New England too because it's missing the water towers. I don't think I see a water tower anywhere in there.
No, no,
Yeah,
you know, Asheville gets their water right from the river.
right. Okay, next we have one photograph Dennis and I were talking about the other day, and it reminded me of a series that I was watching on Netflix, and I just love the elements in this one, the leading lines and the reflections on those bars that are on the staircase. And this is a brewery staircase, Dennis, in
This
Asheville.
is this is in Asheville again, and it is a brewery staircase. And we were doing a tour, and I guess you could call it a little bit of a photographic tour through this brewery. And we would take a few photos, we would have a beer, then we'd walk around and take some more photos. And this staircase was leading up to an area that you could not get to as as an observer of the place. You had to work in the brewery to get up to the top of those staircases. I think there was a lot of storage up there. It looks to me like there's some beer barrels up in that top room up there over to the left side. And snapped this photo, brought it home and did a little bit of post-processing to it to kind of highlight those lines that you see in the railings. And I thought it turned out pretty well. And again, one of my favorite things to do, more architecture, and less mountains.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Now, this next one, anybody who's ever been to Asheville, this is kind of like an iconic place in Asheville. It's been there forever. And again, taken in the Blue Hour, it's a Pax Tavern. I was telling Dennis the other day that I was in Pax Tavern. I guess it was in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s, and the place has changed quite a bit, but they've still got that old green truck out front. So Dennis, tell us about Pax Tavern.
Yeah, Pax Tavern is right just I'll say kitty corner from one of the main visitors areas in Asheville, and it is Pax Square. So Pax Square is where the Vance Monument once stood, and other monuments like that. There are parties in Pax Square. There are fairs in Pax Square where people come and bring things that they make themselves. It's typically homemade kind of things. And again, just walking through the neighborhood, walking through the park that night, there really wasn't anything going on in the Pack Square Park. And I just happened to notice that Pack's Tavern, the skies were getting darker and the lights were on in Pack's Tavern. And I thought I'd take a shot at it from afar. And I thought it turned out really nice that you could see, both the inside and outside that. It's almost like a high definition photo.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great. And I think that one's an iconic Asheville photograph. And then it gets a little bit amusing at times. We'll turn around and look at the other wall here in the gallery. And Dennis, I want you to tell me about this first one because it's to me, it's both amusing and scary at the same time.
Well, and I kind of thought the same thing. This staircase walked down about 10 stairs, perhaps below ground level, and then it turned left, and there was a door down there that was unfortunately locked, so I couldn't get in. I didn't know what was going on, but I thought, boy, I'd love to see what's going on inside there. And I took the picture basically so I could remember to go back there. And I never did get inside and I never got back, but I still plan to go back there and try to get that. I think I get the concept of what the sign is saying, but again, I wanted to stick my head in that door and see what was really going on in there.
Okay. Okay. And then we have this next one. And I think this, if you want to look at a photograph that's an iconic Blue Hour photograph, I think this is the one.
Yeah, and this was taken right in downtown Hendersonville. I live in Flat Rock now, for those of you that don't know, and it is about a 15-20 minute ride for me to get to downtown Hendersonville. So I was thinking of a minimalist photography when I took this shot. So, of course, minimalist, it kind of means what it says, what it sounds like, right? There's minimal objects in your photograph, but they should be meaningful in one way or another. And I took this shot and I thought it turned out very well. I brought it home and pre-processed it. This was actually a color shot that I turned into black and white. And then after I turned it into black and white, you can't tell probably from looking at it, but the light is actually just a black and white photo. There's no color there. So the light fixture itself is just black and white, no color. And then I popped out the color in those clouds using some software here at home. I think it was Photoshop that I used to take away some of the darkness of the black and whites, and I turned it blue. So I was proud of this one too. It has some character for me.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And now we're going to go into the office area. And here we've got a couple of really, really interesting photographs. And for those who are with us today that are really liking to look at the detail in a photograph and like to get lost in the detail, I think these are the two images you want to take a look at. And the first one is called Windows in Asheville. And hopefully on your screen that is large enough to see all the detail that's in these windows. And Dennis, do you want to tell us about this one?
Yeah, this one again, walking down Asheville. This was actually not as dark as the black and white may make it look, and You know, it was the rest of the wall, of course, was cropped out of this building. But if you can see some staircase bars in there, and the window that is the rightmost and in the center. There's a staircase walking down there, and those are the handrails. And the street that I took this from was pitched about the same amount as those railings were. So I had to take several pictures of this one because, excuse me, because it was just not level. And I worked with it quite a bit. Again, I changed it from color to black and white because I thought the black and white really showed more character for this particular photo. And what you see in the bottom there is about all of the reflections that came from the street because of the slope of the street. There was hardly any reflections there on the top panes. It was just that last bottom row of panes that you really saw some reflections from the street.
Yeah, what I find curious about this photograph, Dennis, is the windows look like they're partially open, so you don't know if you're on the outside looking in or the inside looking out.
Yeah, and you're right. They were partially open. The middle rolls of windows were open that night. It was kind of bizarre.
Yeah, yeah, very good. And then we have this one. A lot of
And this,
detail here.
yeah, this one was taken inside of a restaurant. It was closed at the time, so it was prior to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that's when this particular place closed. All the glassware was in the back of the bar, ready to go into service, and the sun was coming in off the windows and playing in the light of these glasses, and I thought that was a very, very interesting shot. I don't have them in this particular exhibit, but I had a few pictures from this restaurant where it's just empty seats and chairs along bars and things. They all turned out very nice, but this one is one of my favorite still lifes. I mean, I call this definitely a still life. It doesn't have any apples in it or oranges or pears or anything, but it is my still life of glassware. And I guess, what are you making those copper things? Mules,
Yeah, I
right?
guess.
Yeah, Moscow mules. I think you making those copper mugs like that.
Okay. Now, before we proceed on, I wanted to tell you that when you get into a urban setting, obviously you've got a lot of architectural things that you can photograph. But the other thing that's very prevalent in any urban setting is people. And this is what we're coming up on next is some photographs that I really, really enjoy. Being a photographer myself, I don't think I'd ever be able to take any of these. I don't. And you'll see why in a couple of them. A couple of people looked rather startled. I don't think, Dennis, you don't ask anybody in advance to take these, do you?
Very seldom, very seldom. Actually, of all of them that we're going to see, there was one that I asked in advance, or two that I asked in advance. I'll let you know what they are when we get
Okay.
to them.
Okay, so here we go. Next gallery.
Yeah,
And
we're into my people. Since as I said earlier, in my mind, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. In my mind, you take a sunset, you take a sunrise, you take a mountain view, you take a valley view, and then you take a second or a third one, and they're all beautiful pictures, but they're all kind of the same. You know, they're different and yet they're the same. And I kind of burned myself out taking those right after I moved to Asheville. Actually, it didn't take me long before I got tired of doing that. So
yeah, what
that's when I started taking architectural photos and photos of people the best I can. I love to take street photography, and that's what these are, all of them.
Yeah, I love the gritty look here that you've given him, Dennis, and it just that just it's real. It really reflects, I think, the area in many different ways. And let's go take a look at this first one, Smoking Man.
Okay, so this guy's walking down the street in Asheville. He's sitting on a chair right at the curb. And I didn't notice when I initially approached him, but as I was approaching him, he took a big hit off of his vape. and this giant cloud of smoke came out of his face. So with that, I did back up. I moved back as far as I could away from him and waited for him to do it again. So, and of course he did. This is the picture I shot, and it was in color. I bring them home typically. I put them on my computer, and people I like to turn into black and whites because I think that shows the artsy craftsy possibility of shooting people. And I also tone map them so I can pull out like this guy's whiskers. Okay. If it was a smooth shot, you wouldn't be able to tell near as much that this guy's got probably a couple of days of growth on the side of his face. But you can easily pull that out with software such as Photoshop and Lightroom. And that's what I did on this particular shot. But yeah, I love this shot.
You're
And
getting
the
a shower?
black and white one is
So I'll
so
come
much
in a
better than the
minute.
color one.
We had a question?
I couldn't hear what it was.
No, did somebody have a question?
Nope.
No. Okay. Okay. And then we come to the next one, which is, I think, a featured image, and it catches a lot of people in our part of North Carolina that you don't really see every day in an urban setting, but they're out there in the rural community. They're making things, crafts, arts, a lot of times selling fruits and vegetables in the summer. And you see these individuals on the weekends that remind me of what this place was like before it had the explosive population growth that it had. So this one is called Market Man and is from the 7th Avenue Farmers Market. And Dennis, I really believe this is the guy that sold me the $4 watermelon for $12.
It could be. It could be. You know, this is the same thing. Walking down Hendersonville and then walking through the farmers market on a Saturday afternoon. And this guy had his stand underneath a viaduct. So if you look up at the top there, what you see on the top of this photo is actually a viaduct. So there's, I-26 or something is shooting over the top of his head. And this is a guy that I did ask if I could take his shot. He said yes. He posed. That was one shot that I took. I just caught his face was beautiful. His eyes are glistening. I thought his face was dirty, but as I got home and started to work on it, it's not. That's just his skin tone. So he's a hard-working farmer, probably been farming all of his life, and goes to his market and sells his wares on a Saturday afternoon. Very nice guy. All of the people in the market just knew him for some reason. They loved him. So he let me take this photograph, and it turned out very well. I did happen to place second place with this photo in a photo contest there, and it was a People's Choice Awards, which are the best ones to win as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, very good. Very good. And then we have this next one, and this next one, to me, tells a couple of different stories. It's like you caught the guy by surprise. The guy in the background has got this impish grin going on. So, you just wonder what's happening. The dichotomy there of the expressions is something else. So this one's called Asheville Rider. And Dennis, tell us a little bit about this one.
Yeah, again in Asheville, the sun hadn't gone down yet, so there's still, I had some long light here, but it hadn't turned to blue hour yet. And these guys were cruising by. What I noticed first was it was about a 1953 Chevrolet, and that was riding by, and it was not immaculate, but you could tell it was a car that people had been working on to get to run again, and it was running fine, and they came shooting by, and they stopped at a stoplight, and I grabbed my camera and I took this shot. So the guy that was driving, the one that has the grin on his face, he kind of loved it. This other guy, I don't know, he might have had his picture in the post office or something. He didn't look too happy about me taking his photo, but he did not say a word, and it was summer and the windows were down all the way. So his fingernails are all dirty and things. So my guess is they just got done working on that car, and they got it going, and they're going to ride into downtown Asheville and stop and grab a celebratory beer from getting their car to run.
Okay, okay. Let's go over on the other side of the gallery now and take a look at a couple of the next ones. And these are some really interesting people shots here. And the first one is the Brevard Busker, and that's Brevard's a small town. I think it's south and maybe a little bit west of Asheville. And there are a lot, you run into a lot of buskers in the towns around here. And Dennis, I'll let you tell them about this one.
Sure. This was taken mid-afternoon, believe it or not, and then you can see the sun on his face. I brought it home and I blacked out as much of the background that I could and make that dark, and I brought his uh, face and his body and guitar up brighter than the background was. This is one of my favorites, and I need to get back to Brevard and give this guy, this photo that I took. Um, and hopefully he'll like it. But yeah, I did ask him. He said yes, but he didn't pay any attention to me taking the photos. He just went on playing, as you can see, playing his guitar. He wasn't looking me in the face or in the camera or anything. He said, "Yeah, you can take my photo," and then that was like, "Okay, go away and take it now." He didn't care. So I took a few shots, brought it home, and this is the one I love the best. And it really is, from a photographer's perspective, it's a good shot. It's got the guy's face. There's some nice lighting on it. It's got his guitar. It's got his hand in it. It's just a good photograph. And I was very happy that I got it. And I do intend to go back to Brevard this summer and see if I can find the guy and give him a photograph.
Very good, very good. And this next one I really like too. It's called Big City Attitude. And this looks to me like somebody that you caught did on and unaware that's attitude is just about to change and give you, you know what, for taking her photograph. So Dennis, what about this?
Yeah, yeah, well, you're right. She didn't say anything, but I saw her coming down the street towards me, and I stopped and I froze. And about 5 feet in front of me, I put the camera up to my eye and I took several shots of her actually. And yes, she did not look very happy. She didn't say one word. She had all of this. She's got a glove on that one hand there where she's holding the phone, a bunch of jewelry. She got that necklace that's got an eyeball in it, and uh, she was just something to see. Didn't say a word. She was very pretty. Honestly, she was maybe 20 years old, although she doesn't look like it in this photo. About 20 years old. The 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 glove that she has on was all kinds of sparkle on it. You can see a little bit of it on her knuckles, but it was just very strange. I was glad I got this shot.
Yeah, very good. And then this next one, this guy really looks to me like he's had a tough day.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if the guy was a punk rocker or what he was. And again, I took this one, got lucky, had a very shallow f-stop, so I got some nice bouquet behind him. I was outside of a window on the street. He was inside, sitting at a bar, uh, looking out the window when I happened to see him and took the shot. Again, I didn't ask for permission. I just snapped the shot. I brought it home, turned it into black and white, did my thing to raise some of his wrinkles out of his face that were there. If you can either smooth those out or you can bring them up loud, and proud like I did. And then I gave his earring just a little touch of blue, um, just
Yeah.
because I could.
Oh, I hadn't noticed that before.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
great. That's great. Now we're going to shift gears again and we're going to go back to some really vivid imagery on this next gallery here. And I'm just going to let Dennis tell you about these images.
All of these images are taken again, in the Asheville area. Asheville on every Friday night during the summer I don't remember when they start. They may have started already since this year has been so warm. But every Friday night they have what they call a drum circle, and it's in Pritchard Park. And there are just drummers, not full set drummers, but congo players and bongo players and any kind of wood, of percussion instrument that you could imagine, go and sit out there on these bleachers. And in the middle of these bleachers is a nice concrete area where people, listen to these guys up in the bleachers playing their drums. This person was dancing around. Of course, the headdress caught my eye, and she or he let me take several photos. So I snapped quite a bit of photos on this one. And this is a particular shot where the headdress was so colorful, and her necklace or his necklace was so vivid that it looked better in color than it did in black and white. A lot of debate whether this is a male or female, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I have to ask you, Dennis, being a drummer, does it ever bother you that they have trouble keeping the beat in the drum circle?
Yeah, they don't. Well, it's just a bunch of guys out there having fun, so it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't bother me too much that that happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
that's a must see if you go to Asheville, and I believe it's on Friday nights.
yeah, it's on Friday nights, and it's every Friday night during the warm months anyway.
Yeah, very good, very good. And then really shifting gears on this next one. Uh,
So this was in the Asheville River Arts District, and it happened to be in a woman's clothing store. Um, and this woman was dressed in, full regalia. She looked like she just, stepped out of a movie. She had the little short skirt on, that's like the schoolgirl skirts, and she had a ruffled blouse on, just like her socks. But then what really caught my eye as I was looking at her was the shoes, the red slippers. And I had to get a shot at those, and that's what this is. So this is a concrete floor inside of a woman's clothing store with this woman dressed up like I don't know what, like she, like a Barbie doll, and the picture of the shoes and the lace stockings I just had to get.
yeah, very good. Yeah, one of the things that we're blessed with too, being here in this area is, we do have a couple of very well, not smaller, but mid-sized towns. Asheville's the largest town in Western North Carolina, but we also have a lot of open spaces, and it gives you an opportunity to see a lot of things out in nature as well. And I think these next couple photographs are representative of that. The first one here is Flat Shroom.
Yeah, and this was actually taken in Flat Rock, but it could have been in downtown. It could have been in downtown Asheville. I mean, there is enough green space down there that you'll see this kind of stuff all the time. So I got down really low to take this shot, and brought it home and did a lot of work in it to make it different than just a plain shot of a mushroom, because those are pretty common, I'm going to call them. All you got to do is be able to lay on your belly,
Yeah.
which is getting harder and harder for me every year. And to take this photo, and I did. I brought it home. I did some post processing to it. I did pull out some of the color on the top of that mushroom, but so the detail and the colors and things are colors that were in the mushroom and were just pulled out with software. And if you looked at it uh, with the native eye, you don't see all of those colors that are in there like this. You had to really pull them out, but they are actually in the mushroom. Otherwise, the software doesn't make colors up. It just finds them in the photo and highlights them for you.
Yeah.
So that's what this one is all about. I love taking those kind of photos.
Yeah. Yeah. And this next one here, and Dennis, if I had one criticism of this one, I would call this one something other than shroom texture. I think I would call it psilocybin.
And it could be, but I didn't test it. Yeah, it could be. But this, again, this was just a nice picture, some very nice mushrooms, very nice shape. They were very pretty in color. And I did the same thing. I brought them home and I ran them through actually that same software that I did on with the last mushrooms. And this is just leaves and branches, broken branches. You can see the leaf in the back that shows pretty much whole. The rest of them are kind of crumbled up. There's one over on the left side. And I took software and I curled that stuff up, similar to the way the mushrooms are showing the texture on the top. All right. That didn't show either. But again, it was there because the photo doesn't add things. You can look down at the bottom at the base of these mushrooms and you could see where some of the leaves and other flora that I at the bottom that I kind of squiggled around with my software. It's almost like taking a paintbrush and moving this stuff around. I did get some that were overlapped on the bottom of these mushrooms. So this one also was a second place winner actually for in a contest. So I got lucky with that one.
Yeah, I love it. Each one of the mushrooms looks like it's just got a very odd little face in it.
No, yeah, it's pretty strange.
Yeah. So anyhow, here we are back at the gallery, and we've got a couple more here. The staff has changed the photographs since we started the exhibit, and we'll talk about these very different ones. Urban Surprise.
Okay, again, this where I was saying that there are parks and such in the Asheville area. Well, this is just a pine tree that I found with the sun actually shining through it. That's why you see some of these white spots up at the top of this photo shining through the branches. And brought it home. Did the same thing with some software. I didn't necessarily modify these branches or anything, but I pulled the colors in it. They were in fact the same colors, green and yellow, and I just highlighted them up a little bit. And they look like they're kind of glowing now. And you can see the brown branch here running through this one. That's probably one of the few places you can see the branch, but there it is running down there. And it's just a nice kind of a cute little picture of some pine needles, you know.
Yeah, yeah. And then we have then we have one of my favorites,
Yeah, yeah,
Urban
the
after
closer.
dinner drink.
This is the this is here's what happened. So before I became president of the camera club, there were they run contests, and we still do. And this particular one had a theme of joints. So people were bringing in, you know, pictures of universal joints out of a bottom of a car, or the you know, joints on a door, you name it. You know, another thing they were bringing in is just pictures of old bars and taverns and things. And so anything that you could call a joint, they were bringing in. So I said, well, I'm gonna do this, right? So I took I took my I had some forceps and I had a very, very small tub of Play-Doh. And I put the forceps in the Play-Doh after I, of course, grabbed the joint with them. And I lit the joint and I took a picture. And it was ho-hum, right? It just had one single line of smoke trailing up. It wasn't wasn't very nice. It didn't have the glow of embers around the ash end of it and things. And I figured, well, okay, I got to try that again. So how am I going to get that stuff? And stupid me, the only way I could think of it, well, is if I just took a hit on it. So I went and I took a hit on one end, and yep, it certainly caused some more smoke. And I ran back to my camera after I did that and took a couple of shots, and none of those really pleased me either. I did that again, and then I did that finally a third time. And I told my wife at the time, I said, Ruth, I can't take any more pictures of this because I can't make the smoke go up and down anymore like that. And she, as smart as she is, says, well, you didn't have to inhale. Well, I guess you're right. I could have been taking 1,000 pictures of that, but that was it. I got the picture. I couldn't even post-process it that night. I just went to bed. And the next morning I got up and found this one and thought it was the best one of the sorry lot.
Yeah, that's one of those where I would imagine as you continue to try and refine the photograph, it gets a little bit more amusing with every shot.
Yeah, it was kind of like that until the point where, you couldn't even see it anymore. And so, well, okay, I can't do this anymore. What
Okay.
photographers will do for their art.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we're here at the end. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Dennis?
Well, I appreciate everybody that got on board to look at my work. I am going to be doing some different stuff. Mushrooms. Now I'm into mushrooms, so I'm going to do a whole lot. I'm going to have a whole series of just mushrooms, and I'm working on a whole series of just doors, in particular in Hendersonville. So after I get that done, maybe David and I can get together again, and he will let me do another show on Hendo-One.
Oh, that would be great, Dennis. Yeah, there are some really spectacular doors here, particularly in our alleys off of Main Street.
It's one of my favorite places to go shoot in the alleys. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank you for visiting the Hendo-One Gallery. The next show will start at 8 o'clock. And in the meantime, please visit hendo1.com or https://Hendo-One Gallery to subscribe for future events. And I'll keep you abreast of what we have coming up. And we have a new show every month for the rest of the year. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll be back here in about 16 minutes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Bye now.
Thank you, Dennis.
Well, thank everybody for joining. So thank you very much. I even have people joining from Illinois.
Very cool. I'm going to stop this, Dennis, so it will catch the recording, and then we will start it back up again in a minute.
Okay.